right. We will, is this on? You can, okay. We will call the February 16th meeting of the Mackinac Straits Corridor Authority to order. I'd like to welcome everyone here today. We will have a period at the end to allow for all public comments. Those public comments will be made on the public record, and any that were sent in will be available on our website as well. So we appreciate all of the comments that have been sent in since our last meeting, and we look forward to hearing from you today during the public comment period. The minutes, I'm sorry, first of all, Tony, we would need a motion to approve the agenda for today.
I so approve. Move.
Support. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, we would need approval of the October 13th meeting minutes that were sent out for our review.
There was a word missing on, I don't have the page number, but it's item D, the third-party utilities. It should have read there has been, and the bin is missing. With that suggestion, I make a move, we approve the minutes.
Support. Good catch, Tony. Thank you. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Up next, under old business, Memorandum of Understanding between the Corridor Authority and Enbridge for independent quality assurance. Ryan Mitchell from MDOT will give us a report on that.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Am I heard?
Yep.
Thank you. Members, this Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, between the Mackinac Straits Corridor Authority and Enbridge regarding independent quality assurance provides clarity between the parties to the tunnel agreement, which is the Corridor Authority, the MSCA, and Enbridge, as to how two entities that are not party to the tunnel agreement, the contractor and the independent quality assurance contractor, will interact for the benefit of the project. Enbridge will hire a contractor to build the tunnel and ancillary assets and works. The Corridor Authority will hire an independent quality assurance contractor, or IQA, to perform standard of practice quality assurance inspection during the construction of the project. The IQA contractor will report to the authority, but their work will be paid for by Enbridge through an escrow account, and that's in accordance with the tunnel agreement. The MOU ensures that Enbridge will provide the necessary and expected access to records and sites needed for the state to collect timely QC and QA information so that the IQA's work will result in complete construction quality documentation. The tunnel agreement was vague on the level of access. The purpose of the MOU is to clarify this important topic so there's no misunderstanding or disruption resulting from access or lack thereof at the construction site or to records.
Tony, you had asked some questions at the previous meeting about that access, and do you have any further questions about that?
I do not. I think that the corrections or the elaborations cleared things for me.
So the action would be to approve the Memorandum of Understanding so that we can continue to move forward at this point. Can I get a motion to approve that Memorandum of Understanding?
Motion to approve.
Support. Opposed? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, Ray, Tunnel Agreement, Section 7.5 requirements.
Yes, Chair. At our last meeting, there was some discussion about consultants' review of the RFP, and that it was not available to the authority or members to print, reproduce, so it was done virtually. And so the request came from the authority to put together a shows what changes were made. Chart shows various changes that were made, at least as it relates to the section 7.5, section 7.5 of the tunnel agreement, which is what this board is concerned with when votes on approval of the concurrence on the
So on this 7.5, I'd like to welcome both Dr. Mike Mooney and Dan Cooper here to the meeting. Welcome, gentlemen. They are our experts on the tunnel and the pipeline. Dr. Mooney, do you have any further comments on the, I know that you gave us a presentation virtually at our last meeting, but do you have any further comments at all? Has anything changed? And the 7 points that fall under the tunnel agreement, you are in agreement that those points have been recognized in the conversation, et cetera?
Yes, Member Nystrom, in my report for the last meeting, I concurred that some of those were
There has been, and during your conversations on these 7 points, you and Ray, there were changes that took place. There were updates that occurred based on our questions, et cetera.
throughout the review process.
Is it your recommendation that we move forward with concurrence on this RFP?
Yes, I believe.
Thank you. All right, on our agenda next, request for proposal comment log. Member Novak had suggested, and it was an excellent suggestion, to put together a comment log for public consumption that is available for us going forward as the authority, but also so that the public can see what has transpired with regards to our comments, our suggestions, our questions, and that has been put together by staff. Ray, do you have any comments on that? Dr. Mooney?
Yes, thanks, Chairman. That actually was what I was addressing the last time I spoke.
Yeah.
I took something out of order, but that request for proposal, that comment log represents the evolution of the final draft RFP and would indicate what the changes were, what the language is, where it's found in the RFP, and shows sort of the evolution of the changes that resulted in the RFP that's before the board.
All right. Then moving on, we did receive tribal comments on the RFP. Ray, would you like to give an update on those comments?
Yes, there. At our last meeting, we indicated that the tribes, specifically Bay Mills and the Pokagon tribes, had indicated that they would like an opportunity to comment on the RFP. One of the reasons why it was delayed, the vote. And since that time, we did receive some questions and comments from both Bay Mills and from Pokagon tribes. And those were addressed in a letter just recently sent to Whitney Gravel of Bay Mills tribe and to Matthew Bustler of the Pokagon Band of Potawatomi Indians. In a nutshell, And those comments were made as to both the RFP, the draft RFP, and to the proposed tribal consultation policy. But as far as the draft RFP goes, the response to the Bay Mills concerns, they wanted oops, wrong. They didn't have access to the geotechnical data report, thought that it was missing, and the response went back that where it could be found, it is a 2,000-page document, and that was provided. And as far as a competitive procurement process, the Bay Mills was concerned that the authority be part of the procurement process. And ultimately, the Enbridge MSCA staff and Dr. Mooney have determined that with the exception of the historic safety-related data, that no further updates were needed to the RFP. And then the Pokagon talked about the alternative technical concept submittal in the RFP, which would be sort of a way of coming up with a new and better and maybe previously not thought of methodology or process. And Pokagon was concerned that how the authority might accept an ATC, alternative technical concept. And those were some good suggestions, and it was the response that came back from the authority was that any changes to environmental documents must receive authority approval, and if it doesn't meet environmental, cultural, and archaeological regulations, those ATCs would not be considered. And then similarly with the evaluation criteria, the Appendix C of technical requirements was the response back that there is a tab named Indigenous Relations and a number of inquiries that a contractor's interactions with tribes must follow. And so those were the comments on the RFP, and they have been satisfied or they've been addressed.
So there were, again, obviously several clarifications that took place, but there were changes that took place based on the comments as well.
Not on the comments to the RFP, but provisions within the RFP were brought to the attention of the tribes that satisfied their concerns. They may not have been aware that their concerns were already addressed in the draft RFP.
I see. Okay, good. All right. Tony, you have questions?
I understand.
Yeah. Okay, next on our agenda would be the RFP for construction of the tunnel. We would need a motion to concur with the RFP.
I so move.
Support on the question. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you. On to new business. Under new business, the proposed tunnel authority, Mackinac Straits Corridor Authority tribal consultation policy. And with that, we would invite Amy. Is Amy here? Oh, okay. Amy, good morning.
Here. Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to be terms you probably don't want to share. So I appreciate your time this morning. I did want to say that we reached out to all 12 federally recognized tribes geographically located here in Michigan for comments on the RFP as well as the tribal consultation policy. And the responses that we received back are in your packet. Those were, again, from Bay Mills and the Pokagon Band. And in reference to those comments, several updates occurred in the tribal consultation policy where we further outlined the communication process of how, initiation, and follow-up will occur. We also indicated how meetings or consultation could take place, whether that was in person, virtually, and via written comments. So an updated policy is in your packet and, incorporates all of the conversations that we did have with our tribal partners. So we are appreciative of their feedback and, I feel has made the corridor authority more robust.
Great. Tony, do you have any questions?
Oh, I thought it was well read.
I thought it was well done as well. Good job to staff for working through this, and we appreciate the input from the tribes and look forward to working with them as we continue to move forward. Appreciate it, Amy. It sounds like changes were addressed and discussed, and that's part of the process, and already looks like it's working well. So we would need a motion to adopt the tribal consultation policy.
I shall move.
Support on the question. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you. All right, up next, the Usace permit application. Ryan, you're going to give us a quick update on that?
I am. Am I heard back there? Thank you. So, yes, as we alluded to at the last meeting, the Army Corps of Engineers has determined that an EIS is needed for the project. It was originally contemplated that it may be an EA, but the EA determined that an EIS is necessary. So in December, Enbridge provided the environmental impact statement RFP proposals, its recommendation, and a summary of the Enbridge RFP process to the Corps. The Corps is allowing interested tribes to review the proposals and to provide comments. And the Corps will inform Enbridge as to next steps. And this is in regards to the third-party consultant that will perform the EIS study. Once the EIS contractor is selected and the EIS process is noticed by the Corps has up to 2 years under statute to complete the EIS. Given the work the Corps has done since the application was submitted in April 2020, it's conceivable that the EIS process could be performed faster than what is allowed for under the statute. But that is the status, as I mentioned. So Enbridge awaits the Corps to inform them on next steps.
On these permits applications like this one, we have no involvement directly other than getting updates like this. We
would not be an applicant on the permit, but we may be engaged by the Corps.
I see.
As an agency with an interest, obviously, as will many other agencies that have an interest in the project.
Okay.
Is their goal to do it faster than the 2 years?
I imagine their goal is to do a thorough and comprehensive EIS. With respect to timing, they do have a statutory requirement, but to exceed that, I don't think is necessarily a goal.
Does it slow anything down that had been planned?
Well, originally it was contemplated that the project would require an EA. So this is an additional 2-year analysis to investigate environmental impacts of the project.
Any other questions, Tony?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Good.
Yep,
All right.
just
Thank
an
you.
update.
Yeah,
Yep.
Thank you for the update, Ryan. All right, on our agenda next, status of the MPSC contested case proceedings. Ray?
Yes, Chairman Nystrom. The hearings or the testimony, the live testimony, occurred in the PSC proceedings on January 13, 14, 18, 21, and 24th, 25th. The parties, including interveners, there are numerous parties in that case, submitted their written testimony, and then there was cross-examination on some of that testimony. Other of the testimony there was no cross-examination. In the proceedings as intervener, the authorities' testimony came from Dr. Mooney and from Daniel Cooper. Dr. Mooney as our tunnel expert, and Mr. Cooper as our pipeline expert. Their testimony came through based on their review of the design plans and all the documents that were available. Ultimately concluded that the elements necessary for Enbridge to receive a permit from the Public Service Commission had been met. There's a brief. Our brief is now the initial briefs. They're due this Friday, February 18th. And on behalf of the authority, I will be filing a brief that essentially summarizes Dr. Mooney and Mr. Cooper's testimony and explains the role of the authority in through this whole process. After that, reply briefs will be filed March 11th, which we may or may not need to file a reply brief. And then it goes to the commission for a determination.
Tony, do you have any questions for Ray on that?
No question.
You know, Ray, we've gotten a few letters regarding a variety of subjects. The authority really has to rely on the Army Corps, Eagle, PSC permit process to address the types of concerns that many of the letters have conveyed, I believe, on regulatory decisions. That we are not a regulatory agency. And I guess I would say publicly that if you have concerns about this process, reaching out to those agencies is probably the best possible avenue because we do not have direct involvement in regulatory decisions like that, as staff has mentioned. But I would encourage you to reach out to those three public agencies. Would you guys concur with that, Ray, Ryan?
Yes, I would definitely concur because the authority is not set up to do that level of dive, if you will. We do rely on the regulatory agencies that are geared to any and all concerns, dangers, and it is through those regulatory processes, Eagle on appeal, the Army Corps, and with the Public Service Commission, that those are the bodies that will ultimately have to make a determination. Not the authority. We would accept what the permitting agencies
Okay, then up next, Ray, you're still on third-party utilities.
Yes, a brief update. There is a draft agreement that is between Peninsula Fiber Network and the authority and Enbridge as a third-party beneficiary. Peninsula Fiber Network has made some comments and provided a revised draft, and we will be meeting with them to try to hammer out a final third-party utility agreement before the next meeting, and I anticipate that there would be next meeting.
All right, great. Any questions, Tony?
No questions, no.
All right, thank you, Ray. Up next, Ryan will cover
I do have one question.
Yes.
The electric utilities had not been contacted, and that's still true?
I am not aware, Member England. I believe that, well, Ryan might have some.
Well, just to remind you, Member England, if either party has been approached by a utility, they're required to inform the other party. And we've not been informed, and I don't believe that you have been contacted or any member or staff person of the authority has been contacted by a utility.
Okay.
Not yet.
Thank you. Just
We
curious.
do hope and are optimistic and hopeful that this utility tunnel will house several utilities. That's the purpose of it. And so PFN being the first.
Okay.
But to answer your question directly, no, we've not been contacted by any other utility at this time.
Thank you.
Up next are the contract extensions for our Attorney General representative, Ray Howd, and then an extension to Dr. Mike Mooney's contract as our tunnel expert, and then an extension to HT Engineering, Dan Cooper, as our pipeline expert. Ryan, you want to give us an update on those before we?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Nystrom. So I'll handle them in order as they appear in the agenda. Dr. Mooney's first, HT Engineering next, and Ray Howd's Special Assistant Attorney General contract. Mike Mooney's contract was issued on December 28th of 2018. It expired December 27th of 2021. The contract amendment before you extends Mike Mooney LLC's contract through the 27th of December 2023, so an additional 2 years, making it retroactive to December 28th of 2021. No increase in cost, but there is an allowance for an escalation of the rate by 2%. The original balance, or the value of the contract rather, was $495,305. To date, $303,325 have been expended, so it has a remaining balance of $191,980. So that doesn't change, no increase in cost.
Inflationary rate is the 2% though for the hourly rate.
He does get an escalation of his rate over the coming term, which again is through December 27th of 2023.
Oh, we appreciate that, Mike. Only 2%, 7.5 is being announced on the news and stuff like that, so thank you. Want to go through all three of them, or should we, Ray, should
I can do
we
that.
approve each one? Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Would
And
you, would
make
we
a motion to approve Mike's new contract.
support on the question? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, Ryan.
HT Engineering, and today we have Dan Cooper here, our pipeline safety expert. The issuance date of Dan's contract was, just as Dr. Mooney's was, December 28th of 2018. It expired December 27th of 2021. The amendment before you extends it to the 27th of December 2023, and also allows for an escalation of the rate, exactly the same as Dr. Mooney's, in the amount of 2% during that term. The original contract value of HT Engineering's contract was $309,453. To date, $29,333 has been expended, with a balance of $280,120.
No, that's fine.
We would need a motion then on HT Engineering's contract.
I so move.
Support. On the question, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, Ryan, on to Ray's.
Finally, Ray Howd, contract, Special Assistant Attorney General contract. The original value of the contract was $50,000. It was executed the 1st of April of 2021. It expired December 31st of 2021. Approximately $25,000 has been expended against that contract. The amendment before you extends the contract through the end of this year. So the 31st December of 2022 will be the new end date of the contract. The contract adds additional funding of $25,000, bringing the new amount up to $75,000, or remaining amount of $50,000. In addition to the date extension, it allows for travel expenses for Mr. Howd.
Let me just clarify for the members. This is separate from the budgeted amount that the money comes from.
Well, the funds, anything related to the tunnel project, any dollar expended by the state has to come by law from the Straits Protection Fund.
I see.
Yes, which includes this amount. It does transact through the Attorney General.
I see.
And
That's the
Ray
part.
represents the Michigan Department of Attorney General, and we are his client.
Yes, okay. I
So-
see. That's how the relationship works. Okay.
Exactly.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah,
before.
MDOT is custodian of the fund, and so it's a little simpler with Dr. Mooney and Mr. Cooper's contracts. With Ray, we have the intermediate of the Attorney General, but same pot, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Yeah, okay, all right. All right, then, any questions, Tony?
No, no
Okay,
question.
we would need a motion then
I-
on Ray's.
I so move for Ray.
Support on the question. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, okay. Any other business?
I would like to go back and understand what the EIS, if it takes the full 2 years, what the impact is on the scheduling of the tunnel.
Well, from a contractual standpoint, it means that the construction cannot commence
So,
previous
but
to that permit being issued,
does
if
it
if
really-
a permit is issued.
potentially, does it really push back the planned construction date? So do we not, does the RFP not go out so soon? I don't understand exactly the process for making that delay.
So, Member England, that's a better question for Enbridge from a detailed perspective. But I will say, as the tunnel agreement, per the tunnel agreement, Enbridge is required to initiate construction no later than 18 months following issuance of a permit. They can't construct without the permit, so it does depend on issuance of a permit from the Corps. Eagle has issued a permit. MPSC will make a decision in March. Is that correct, Ray? But they're going to provide clarity in March, and the Corps has as much as 2 years. So in simple terms, construction cannot initiate until that process is concluded. My understanding from conversations with Enbridge is that they are fully committed to the project, and that they will construct when the permit is issued.
No, that's fine. I'm just trying to, I mean, anyone who bids on the RFP has to be aware of when this starts. So it would seem like until they know when this permit is going to come through, they can't even issue the RFP. Is that right?
Well, they can, but they could not
So
construct
they'd
the
have to have
project.
some sort of a clause on the cost.
I imagine that's right, because it is a risk for the contractor. They would have to align their resources for the timeline, and if the timeline is in question,
Okay, all right, thank you.
I believe we do. I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but is there anyone on the line that would comment on that?
Hi, good morning, board members. It's Amber Pasteur from Enbridge at the project. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. May I ask, can I get the question repeated though? Unfortunately, I couldn't hear it very well.
Yeah.
Member England was looking
Yeah,
at you, Ryan. Ryan, would you be able to repeat, or Member England, can you repeat your
So
question?
I'm trying to understand how the decision that we need to go through the this new EIS, where there's a potential for a 2-year delay, how that affects your issuing the RFP and your plans.
Did you get that, Amber?
Yeah, so the question is now that the Army Corps has made a decision to prepare an EIS, which
Yes.
could take up to 2 years,
Yes.
to prepare that EIS, how does that interplay with our ability to issue the RFP and negotiate with the contractors and
Yes.
making sure everything fits all together? Is
Exactly.
that yes?
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So one of the things I will point out is the RFP process is not an insignificant process, the length of time it will take. So as we sit and we planned and we prepared the schedule, we prepared our timing for issuing that RFP in alignment with our understanding of how long the estimated time we think the Corps might take to prepare. So if I break that down just a little bit, imagine a scenario from the time that we do issue the RFP. It will take at least 6 months. We've allowed for those contractors to prepare their responses.
Sure.
After we get their responses, we'll need to read through them, vet them, score them. There'll be an interview process. So it's not an insignificant amount of time for us to actually even go through that RFP process. So we will be doing that in parallel as the Army Corps is also preparing their environmental impact statement. So we actually think the timing will work quite well. And there are contract terms and ways we can negotiate and manage our relationship with the contractor to make sure that they're prepared to start once we have those permits in hand. And if we need to pump the brakes or accelerate a little bit, we have those mechanisms built in that process.
Understand. Okay, thank you. It sounds like then there's maybe a 6-month uncertainty due to this EIS. Is that fair?
Well, yeah, no, actually, remember, England, the precise timing, like I said, we're able to accelerate or slow down as we need to. But we do want to give a nice amount of time to go through that RFP process.
Sure.
We want to give a nice amount of time for those contractors to be able to provide those responses. We want to have plenty of time to be able to negotiate with the contractor, with our preferred contractor. So I actually think it'll all fit together quite nicely.
Okay.
To be true, it won't take us 2 years probably to select that contractor, but we are able to manage that relationship and manage how we move forward with them to make sure it aligns with when we hope to get those permits from the Corps.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Cool. No, fine.
Any other comments?
Chairman, I should have brought this up at the very beginning, but Member Novak is not able to attend here today because of he is in a law practice and has been very busy. When this date after the meeting was postponed, Mr. Novak indicated that he was available for today, and then something came up with his court case, and he was not able to make this date. And we looked at different venues and times, and it just simply wouldn't work out for everyone's schedule. I did request or send an email to Member Novak requesting if he had any concerns or anything that he wanted to bring before this group at this meeting or the board to let me know, and I could at least present it. And I did not hear back from him, and so I don't believe there's anything that he wanted me to relay to this.
Yeah, unfortunately, we had the snowstorm that came into Lansing for our previous date, and got this one rescheduled, and schedules do get conflicted, so we are missing Member Novak today, but I look forward to seeing him at the next meeting. So with that, we will move into public comment. I know that we have received, as authority members, these written comments that have been sent in since the last meeting, right on up through, Ryan was sending us some even the last few days. So we have 146 listed here. Those comments will be put on our public forum, and we look forward to hearing from public folks that want to come up and address the authority here today. You will be limited to 3 minutes. The staff will let you know, I'll let you know. We're here to hear you, so we aren't rushing anyone, but we also appreciate that you appreciate other folks wanting to get up and speak as well. There will not be I'm going to take, you won't be able to replace somebody else with a second comment. It's one public comment. And then the last thing, I'll just remind you, this is not a question and answer period. We are not here to answer questions. You can present questions in your public comment. And if there is a way that we can help you find that information, we're always happy to do that. But public comment is not a question and answer period for us. So with that, we'll get it started.
All right. When I call your name, please come to the microphone and speak directly into it so we can all hear you. First is Janet Zahn, and after Janet will be Brian O'Mara.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to comment. I'm Janet Zahn, co-chair of the Grand Rapids Climate Coalition, representing more than 60 nonprofits, faith groups, neighborhood associations, and businesses, as well as hundreds of individuals. Our goal is for the city of Grand Rapids to achieve carbon neutrality by 2030, keeping climate justice and equity at the center. Although our main focus is on Grand Rapids, we know that climate change does not observe man-made boundaries. We see the issue of Line 5, one that affects us all, and in particular with regard to climate justice. It is known that Enbridge has taken great strides to identify and target indigenous groups who oppose them. And Enbridge has an abysmal history of pipeline disasters with little regard for the communities impacted by their failures. It is clear that there is no safe way to continue on this strategy. With the largest bodies of fresh water on the planet at stake, it's too high a risk for Michigan and the planet. Recent developments have revealed alarming truths about Enbridge's proposed oil tunnel in the Straits of Mackinac. And we would ask that you, as a body who has some control over this, not take the chance of creating this continued risk. It's easy to pass the buck to others, the authority of the regulatory bodies. But we depend on you to look out for the public and not Canadian corporate interests. In the interest of moving Michigan towards science-based recommendations for a safe, renewable energy future, we oppose approval of the tunnel. Thank you.
Brian O'Mara, followed by Jeremy Garza.
Good morning. I'm Brian O'Mara, a Michigan native and Grosse Pointe resident. I worked as a consulting engineer and geologist since 1987, soon after graduating from Michigan Tech with a degree in geological engineering. My clients include Consumers Energy, DTE, Detroit Water and Sewage, Marathon Oil, Michigan DEQ, Mass Water Resource Authority, the Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewage District, the Army Corps of Engineers, and US EPA. I've worked on the design, construction, and operation and decommissioning of dozens of miles of tunnels over the last 35 years, including Milwaukee's $2 billion tunnel program, where dangerous levels of methane were often encountered. A methane explosion there in 1988 killed 3 tunnel workers when the contractor failed to take measures to prevent the explosion. I'm experienced with methane assessment, mitigation, and explosion prevention. A methane explosion in a tunnel similar to the Enbridge Line 5 under Lake Huron killed 22 construction workers near Port Huron in 1971. Enbridge has detected methane in groundwater along the tunnel alignment, but they don't know the extent of the gas and have ignored or denied its existence. Enbridge failed to adopt the sealed annulus pipeline design, which could prevent a methane explosion and release of oil. And this was recommended in the 2017 Alternatives Analysis Report prepared by the state, which I believe was the basis for the tunnel agreement. Methane dissolved in groundwater will seep into the Line 5 tunnel and be a never-ending explosion risk. A small amount of methane poses a great risk to the tunnel, the pipeline, the workers, and the straits. Contrary to Enbridge testimony to the MSCA, there will be sources of methane and ignition in the tunnel, and you only need 5% of methane in air for an explosion. The Enbridge tunnel pre-design studies and cost estimates are inadequate and flawed. Enbridge has not completed a failure modes and effects analysis for the project, which is inexcusable. If Enbridge doesn't adopt the sealed annulus design, an explosion, fire, or catastrophic leak could kill tunnel workers and collapse the tunnel, releasing thousands of gallons of oil into the Straits. I'd like to help the MSCA better understand the methane risk and other geologic hazards of the proposed Line 5 tunnel and prevent the loss of life and devastating environmental release to the Straits. I've included my contact information with my comments and look forward to hearing from you.
Next is Jeremy, followed by Hadassah Greensky.
Good morning. Thank you for providing public comment, and I appreciate the work you guys are doing on the authority. I'm Jeremy Garza. I'm representing the Michigan Pipe Trades Association, and I'm also here to speak on behalf of the United Association of Plumbers and Pipe Fitters. You know, we have roughly about 300,000 members across the United States, about 12,000 members here in the state of Michigan. We spend roughly $400 million in training a year, so we are highly trained individuals and are prepared to work on this project. Just want to say I appreciate you approving the RFP. This project will provide a lot of hard work dollars to put food on the table of our members, provide a stimulus in the economy in the rural area, and we're prepared to move forward to work on this project, and we hope you continue to approve the tunnel project. So thank you.
All right, next we have Hadassah Greensky, followed by Ross Fisher.
Hadas Indigenous Cause, Wabi Atanong and Dot, Badaske and Donjava, Mishike and Odem, Waganakasino Dow and Dow. My name is Hadassah Greensky, and I'm from the Little Traverse Bay Band of Chippewa and Odawa Indians, a citizen of one of the 12 federally recognized tribes in Michigan. I represent my family, my clan, which have resided around the Straits of Mackinac for more than 7 generations, aka the original authority of the Straits of Mackinac. The concept of indigenous consultation has come up recently. What does this vague term even mean? Oftentimes this position is given to one singular token indigenous person in order to check a box on inclusivity. This is not doing the work. When the settlers attempted to make their treaty negotiations with us Anishinaabeg, they often ask, where's your leader? Where's your chief? To which we would answer, which one? We simply did not have rulers or CEOs. We had a perfect system of checks and balances, form of councils within our community. Today, there are over 320,000 Anishinaabe people in North America, and we are one of the largest tribal nations split by an international tribal land border. My question is, how could 1 or 2 or even 10 people be the decision makers for a nation of over 320,000 protectors of the Great Lakes? Anyone who knows our traditional Anishinaabeg lifeways will know how important it is to protect the water and shut down Line 5 and the looming threat to the Great Lakes. One would have to be pretty desperate to bypass our traditional ways to find those few Uncle Tomahawks who will endorse such an anti-Anishinaabe company such as Enbridge. Indigenous consultation policies cannot be placed without doing the work to include all Anishinaabe voices and concerns. We need more than peacemaking and listening sessions. We need to assure our voices are heard and not struck off records. We need active plans to move forward together. Plans made with councils of Anishinaabe people with our concepts and our lifeways centered. This starts with listening to all Anishinaabe concerns. We are not here to bend to the rules of modern society. We obey the laws of the land and water, the laws that have been put here since we existed. We are here to protect our sacred waters, which sustains all life. Miigwech.
Next is Ross Fisher, followed by Krista McGillicay.
Morning, my name is Ross Fisher. I live here in Lansing and I'm an organizer with Oil and Water Dump Mix. I'm here today to highlight an important update in the Line 5 tunnel project. Enbridge's 2021 Depreciation Study that reduces the economic life of its Line 5 and many other lakehead system pipelines to only 20 years. As a result of competition, climate change policies, and other factors, this project could lead to a stranded asset by the end of 2040. Enbridge entered into an agreement with the state to use a lease to operate the Line 5 tunnel for 99 years, but this 2021 study showed that Line 5 will likely be obsolete by 2041, only 13 years after tunnel construction is expected to be done. Why would Enbridge be part of a 99-year agreement with the state, knowing the pipeline would not be operating for anywhere near the amount of time? This raises a number of concerns on Enbridge's ability to negotiate in good faith during this process. This massive project involves a number of extreme environmental risks to our Great Lakes, would likely be a stranded asset less than 20 years from today. We're risking the health and safety of Michigan residents on a dangerous project that would only lead to a short-term operating pipeline. So we need the Straits Corridor Authority to take action by conducting an independent analysis of the proposed tunnel and pipeline's financial, legal, and practical implications for the state of Michigan and Michigan taxpayers in light of Enbridge's new Line 5 depreciation schedule, and requesting an opinion from the Michigan Attorney General on whether Enbridge's new depreciation schedule of 20 years for Line 5 is in conflict with and therefore invalidates its agreements with the state to operate Line 5 in a tunnel for 99 years. And I'd also like to make another request of this authority that in future meetings, we have all 3 members in attendance for the sake of transparency. Thank you.
Next is Krista, followed by Sean.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Christy McGillivray, so thanks for your patience with my bad handwriting. So I'm here to draw the Corridors Authority attention to the Federal Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration's formal concerns that they submitted to the Public Service Commission here in Michigan. PMSA has Pipeline Safety Authority, which includes the authority to regulate, inspect, and enforce regulations over the existing Line 5 pipeline and also the replacement segment. Once constructed, the operations and maintenance for a pipeline inside the tunnel as currently proposed requires, and this is according to PMSA, unique monitoring processes as compared to traditional pipeline construction projects. This is particularly concerning, and PMSA flags the difficulty of performing routine maintenance deep within the tunnel and difficulty of recovery efforts when a leak or incident occurs. I think it is highly relevant that the authority that regulates pipelines in this country assumes that there will be a leak or an incident and states that they are not sure that they can adequately inspect and maintain the pipeline in order to limit those occurrences. PMSA has oversight during the entire lifetime of the pipeline, including during construction, and they go on to say that they are not yet assured that there are adequate means to conduct construction inspections either. This presents a serious safety concern for the workers and all Michiganders. Our request is that the Straits Corridor Authority formally invite PMSA officials to outline their concerns in more detail so that taxpayers in Michigan are not on the hook for Enbridge's poorly planned project.
Next is Sean, followed by Anna Fisher.
Hello, I'm Sean McBrady, and I'm here today representing Oil and Water Don't Mix and Clean Water Action. I want to spend most of my time today talking about some of the points that have been made concerning this board's activities and purpose. From your own website, the first words of it read, the Mackinac Straits Corridor Authority is responsible for overseeing construction and operation of a tunnel and bedrock beneath the water of the Straits of Mackinac. Overseeing being the present participle tense of oversight, your role is oversight. You were wrong earlier when you said you have no oversight role. Overseeing is a serious responsibility that you have, and unfortunately that oversight so far has mainly consisted of hearing from Enbridge and their contractors. They're telling you one side of a story and the other side is not being heard by this board. You heard comments from Brian O'Mara today, a tunneling expert who has thoroughly reviewed Enbridge's oil tunnel plans and has raised serious concerns regarding the lack of geotechnical research and planning and the very real risk of explosion during and after tunnel construction. These concerns have been voiced by other experts as well and are now part of the record before the Michigan Public Service Commission. MPSC has a role in deciding whether or not to approve this project moving forward, but your role is explicitly oversight. You extended Dr. Mooney's contract today, although as an expert, he ought to be aware of these issues that other experts have raised and has failed to raise them with you so far. I wonder if profit is a motive there. As an oversight authority, you will share the blame if this project moves forward and something goes wrong. Wouldn't you rather have it in the record that you heard from all parties and valid experts and considered these possible outcomes in advance? If you continue to listen only to those who would profit from this project moving forward, you're doing yourselves and the public a major disservice. Even if the risk is small, the potential impact is huge and warrants your attention. We also raised concerns to this board and in comments today about the conflict between Enbridge's 20-year depreciation timeline and their agreement to a 99-year lease with the state of Michigan. On the one hand, they've told a federal regulator that their whole pipeline system will essentially be worthless by 2041, and on the other hand, they've told you that they intend to operate an oil tunnel for the next century. Both of these things cannot be accurate. This as well warrants your attention because it's a huge conflict and could open up the state to having to pay for an expensive and dangerous stranded asset for years into the future. I'm sure Enbridge would never lie to a federal regulator in order to extract larger profits by raising tariffs for the next 20 years, but there's a substantial difference between what they've agreed with you and what they've asked for from FERC. You ought to be looking into this as well before further tax funds are wasted on this project. The lack of geotech research, serious feasibility questions raised by experts, and the contradiction between a 20-year depreciation timeline and a 99-year lease gives credence to the theory that Enbridge never intends to build this tunnel. They're using this process as cover to keep an outdated and dangerous pipeline operating through the heart of the Great Lakes until they've extracted all the profit they can while our water remains at risk. And the only member of this board who has mentioned transparency and oversight is not here today. Thank you.
Next, we have Anna Fisher, followed by Chris McGillicay.
Good morning, Chair Nystrom and members of the authority. My name is Anna Fisher. It's impossible to ignore the message of climate change. It's in the newspapers, the scientific journals, the textbooks, and many documentaries have been made. The message being repeated over and over again is that it's not too late, but we must take bold action to stop global warming. This pipeline goes against everything we know about the climate emergency. It goes in the opposite direction we need to go. So my question to you all is, what in God's name are we doing? Why are we even having this discussion about the promotion of fossil fuels? Those who ignore the warnings, possibly even some of you, have to be doing some pretty heavy-duty denial to plow ahead, business as usual. Profit for big oil above all else. Governor Whitmer understands the small window of time we have to act, and that is why she revoked the easement to this pipeline. The democratically elected governor of our state, elected by and speaking for the people of this state, denied the easement for Line 5. So why does big oil get to supersede the will of the people? And you as well. Is not your purpose to hear and listen and pay attention to the wishes of the people and do what's right for the people, to provide oversight so the best interests of the people and the natural resources of this state are protected? The children who are too young to vote, or the children who are newborns or toddlers, too young yet to speak, maybe you know some of these humans, and the children yet to be born. They are not here right now, except with one exception. I see Pearl is here. I hope we get to hear from her. They are not able to sue for irresponsible choices, nor are they able to speak for their best interests. But does that mean we get to disregard their rights and their needs? Clearly, at the very least, I'm requesting that you seek an opinion from the Attorney General about the depreciation of the pipeline, possibly making this a stranded asset for the state. and also to give your utmost and serious attention to the risk of the explosion under the Great Lakes by asking the National Transportation Safety Board to investigate this risk further. Ultimately, and most of all, I'm asking you as an oversight body to consider protecting the integrity of the Great Lakes for the children who are not here today, but who will hopefully become the stewards of clean Great Lakes and a planet that is habitable.
Next, we have Chris, followed by Nicole. Thank you. Nicole?
Bonjour. I'm going to have Moses here stand by me. Pearl's almost as tall as me now. No. Okay. So, Nicole, Dijnakaso, Mabanan Nadago, Waganakasino Dawa, Nishnabekwe, Mishikidorum. Hey. So I'm a Little Traverse Bay Band tribal citizen. Moses here is too, as are my other two children. So, you know, through experience, we can predict certain things. Those around Kalamazoo can probably, through their experience, predict a few things about Enbridge. But also as a citizen activist within my tribal community and as a Michigan and United States citizen, you know, time and again we see, you can predict there's going to be engineers, biologists, all these people giving their expertise, tribal governments, all it seems to be without comment by those who've already predetermined that they're going to once again put profit above people. People are like, what are you talking about, they? I realize, like, maybe when I say they, you can put in the phrase, profiters of poison. That's what this is. So it's somehow looked at as the only real world issue at hand. I hear a lot of talk of jobs. And I respect your work, and I respect your union. But you know what? Places like Flint, they need your pipes. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. And it's not more of the same that's endangering us, endangering you, as Anna said, endangering children. Another thing I'm so tired of saying of the same thing, Moses, Pearl, my eldest, and Tawi, like, why is it always like this? I'm so tired of saying it's because someone decided they can make some money in the short term. So, you know, of those jobs, they're of limited and fleeting duration. Compare that to fisheries. Compare that to the tourism of this state. I'm wearing this pin, no more stolen sisters. Those are bad jobs around these pipelines with missing and murdered Indigenous women. If it doesn't affect you, it affects many families. We don't need that. So talk like this agreement, moving forward, working well, that it's favoring Enbridge over our governor, over our attorney general, but over treaties too that predate any between the United States and Canada. So look to posterity, our 7th generation teachings, but also the Constitution of these United States. Secure the blessings for ourselves and our posterity. These lakes, this water, that's a blessing. This is the heart of Turtle Island. We say shut it down. You're not going to convince us otherwise. It's up to you to take that in and realize your responsibility too. Miigwech.
Next is John Bird, followed by Kurt Hill.
Hi there. Thank you, Chairman Nystrom, and thank you, fellow authority members. Jonathan Bird with the Michigan Laborers Union. We represent almost 14,000 hardworking men and women that work on tunnels like the one that's being proposed. Like Brother Garza mentioned, we take our training seriously, and I really appreciate all the passionate comments prior. I'll note that the tunnel explosion that was referenced killed, over 20 of our members in the Port Huron area. And we actually just recognized those workers that passed away on the 50-year anniversary of that event. So we take training and safety very seriously. We are part of a national group of training entities that come together to make sure that issues like that, don't happen again. The first and foremost aspect of our union is to make sure that our workers come back to their families safe. So just to conclude, wanted to thank the authority for the hard work that they're doing. Thank the staff, because I know a lot of folks put a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that everyone is being heard and that the process is going smoothly. So just on behalf of the Michigan laborers, we're very supportive of the work that the authority is doing and really wish you success in your upcoming meetings. Thank you.
Next, we have Kurt Hill, followed by Matthew Bork, and that will conclude the public comment.
Hi, my name's Knut. I want to speak to you not as an environmental attorney who practiced in New Jersey and Pennsylvania before moving back home to Michigan, but as a grandson of somebody who moved from Denmark a couple generations ago to work in Michigan as an engineer. After enough time and work, my grandfather, was able to save enough money to take the family on vacation and settled on a town on Lake Huron, and eventually was able to buy a small little plot of lakeshore land. My family got to go and enjoy vacation time. He built a cottage himself, a modest little place. It reminded his wife, my grandmother, of home in Denmark. Never really fully recovered after moving here. It was a place where she felt at home. It's a place where I connect to them. They've passed. It's the place where I feel most connected to my heritage. Only a couple of generations, but it really means a lot to me to look out over those waters. And it saddens me to think what my grandfather would be thinking here. That this project, with good intentions, maybe profit, is currently literally warped in a place we call the Straits. And to repeat such a thing, the risks that we've heard about, turbulent, as an engineer, he would be thinking about the turbulent waters. I appreciate your position as an environmental attorney and the gravity of the situation. I want you to think also about people who have only been here for 1 or 2 generations who dream of a one weekend along the lake shore, or a place where they can connect to their. Let's straighten it out. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Matthew Bork. I'm just speaking as a resident of Michigan. Before I really get started, there's a couple things I think I need to be brought up. For one, the public comment period wasn't on the schedule till noon, so there might be some people that might not have arrived that had the opportunity wanted to speak. There's another problem, this is a very big issue here in Michigan. This wasn't in the media at all. There was not a whole lot of notice about this. I know you guys put it on your website, but the fact that there's not media here, this is an issue that covers the next 99 years, and we would like the opportunity to also make this available online for people to have public comments. We're not paid to be here. Enbridge can have a conversation online, but then we say that we don't have the technology to do so. That just doesn't seem right. This isn't a dialogue. I'm not a public speaker. I'm going to come up and I'm going to do the best. You guys can have a public dialogue with Enbridge, but yet the citizens themselves, we don't really have this open dialogue. I didn't really write a speech necessarily, just a couple of notes. But first off, I just got done. My grandmother just passed away over the weekend, or it was a funeral service. She was 94 years old. She is survived by her great-great-grandchildren, from her parents to this in 94 years. That's 6 generations. We talk about a lot of other families. 99 years covers 7 generations. First, I'd like to talk about a 99-year contract and what that really means. There is no decommissioning this pipeline within those 99 years. We sign a contract, we're obligated to use that pipeline for 99 years. We have to, if we don't, we have to pay for it. It comes out of our ass, pardon my language, right? Enbridge is not paying for this pipeline as much as they say they are. Again, they don't pay for this stuff. It comes out of the individual people that live in the area, out of their fuel costs. It comes out of our tax dollars. Oh, I didn't even start. On top of that, we'd appreciate 5 minutes overall, and I know this is a change in the system because 3 minutes is really not enough time. Like, there's so many topics. So number one, look into that 99-year contract. Are you locking us in for 7 generations? That's your grandchildren, their grandchildren, their grandchildren. You're making a decision right here today that will affect all of the future. They say that these things are going to be done in 20 years. Regulatory agencies, third parties, they're a subcontractor. They get paid for by the company. They have a tendency to represent FERC on site, PHMSA, all of the other agencies. PHMSA is not going to be out there. Army Corps of Engineers is not going to be out there. These third parties are going to be out there that they say are independent, but they're not independent. They're chosen by the pipeline company and for the pipeline company. Natural disasters, right? 3 earthquakes this last year in Lake Erie, right? Enbridge plays God. But hey, if there's an act of God, it's not Enbridge's responsibility, right? Missing and murdered Indigenous women. Sure, they say that this doesn't really happen. People they whined in Minnesota, right? They whined in Minnesota, right? So the police department and Enbridge said, oh yeah, we'll do some study on the human trafficking. They did 2 stings. They went 3 days. They did 1 in January and 1 in June. Within those 3 days, 1/3 of what they arrested were Enbridge employees. Did Enbridge go to jail? No, they didn't have any accountability for that. They just said, oh, well, we're going to drop those employees. They're immediately fired, right? But those are their employees. Who are they responsible for, right? And the last is jobs, right? We talk about, and I appreciate y'all's work and everything, but we're talking about temporary jobs. You go on Enbridge's website, they will talk about how many trucks it's going to take to move these different things. Aren't truckers' jobs important? Isn't the relationship of that a driver that will provide people fuel to their door year after year, day after day, worth more than a 3-month job? You're taking away more jobs than you're creating. Thank you for your time. Give me an extension.
That concludes public comment.
All right. We appreciate all of your public comments. And to be clear, just so that we do have transparency, a press release did go out to the press publicly shortly after our meeting was canceled and rescheduled for the snowstorm that happened here in Lansing. So the media was notified, and as we do every meeting, through a public press release. So the information is out there. It's their choice whether or not they come to this meeting or not. So with that, any other questions, Tony? Any other business, gentlemen? With that, the meeting of the Mackinac Straits Authority for September 16th is adjourned. Thank you.